Welcome back. All right, so news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Monday, December the 18th. Starting off with good news for Buffalo, and Sabres fans need good news. Absolutely do. Jack Quinn could return to the lineup as soon as tomorrow. That would be a welcome addition to a team that has surprisingly struggled with goal scoring so far this year in comparison with what was expected after last year. Goal scoring wasn't really a problem, so Jack Quinn's capable of providing goals and points. That should absolutely help Buffalo should he return tomorrow. Laine's officially been placed on IR by the Columbus Blue Jackets. They did that today. Brendan Gaunce has been recalled on an emergency basis. You won't hear a bad word from me about Brendan Gaunce. I won't say a negative thing. I admire that he's still playing the game and hopefully gets into some games for Columbus and plays well. Matt Murray's been recalled on an emergency basis as well. This time, of course, Dallas being the one using the emergency basis for calling somebody up. Matt Murray will be the backup to Scott Wedgwood for a while, and he may get into some games on his own as well. Ottinger is considered to be week to week with a lower body injury. It's not as bad as feared. They were very concerned that he might be out for a long time. It sounds like it might be a couple of weeks, maybe a month, but not as bad as what they initially were worried about, which means maybe torn ACL or MCL, something of that line, something like that. But again, we just know it's a lower body injury, and it was one of those things that he goes to make a save and he realizes something's wrong and pulls himself out of the game, which tells you it's usually some ligament issue, usually. Pulled groin too, I guess, and yeah. Anyways, lower body injury, we'll just leave it that vague because the NHL likes it that way, and hopefully Otter's back sooner rather than later. Dylan Larkin is back sooner rather than later. I don't think we expected him to be back already, and yet here he is. So for Detroit, for their fans, it's nowhere near as bad as it looked like it could be for Larkin when he took that hit. And so, yeah, Larkin returns to their lineup tonight, and they need him. Detroit 4-5-1 over their last 10 games, and sinking their way out of a playoff spot potentially. Getting Larkin back could help boost them and get them back comfortably above the playoff line. But I still think it's going to be a dogfight in the East right until that 82nd game, and I'm here for it. I think it's going to be great. Speaking of the Carolina Hurricanes, with their goaltending situation being they're trying to get Ronta back up to speed and fix his game. Kochetkov has been good. Anderson will start skating soon, could be a month out, which means that there's still a hole in terms of who's going to be the guy to fill in, and Aaron Dell might end up being that guy. They brought him in on a professional tryout, so he's not officially signed to a contract yet, but he was seen practicing in San Jose not too long ago, so yeah, Dell's kept himself in shape and ready to go. And he gets a tryout with the Carolina Hurricanes, who of course had Halak on a tryout not too long ago and opted to release Halak rather than sign him to a contract. So we'll see what happens with Dell and if he ends up getting a contract there. Boston, smart move by Boston, I think. Poitras had a really, really strong start to the season. Since then, though, his play has dropped off a bit. He is being loaned to Team Canada for the World Juniors. I think that's a fantastic idea. He'll go to the World Juniors. He'll get ice time. He should get his confidence up and come back better, I would think. And for Team Canada, that's a huge addition for them. That's why they left a roster spot open when they announced their rosters. They were hoping that Poitras might become available. There were a few others, too, that they were looking at. But, yeah, Poitras going to Team Canada, I think it's a great move by the Bruins. It's not like he's going to be gone for that many games for Boston either. And, of course, the World Juniors starts on Boxing Day. So, yeah, should be fun. Your 3 stars of the week in the National Hockey League are as follows. Nathan MacKinnon is the first star of the week from Colorado. 4 games, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points. Fantastic week for him. He just puts up multi-point games every night. Absolutely fantastic run. Thatcher Demko's the second star out of Vancouver. He's 3-0 this past week. .957 save percentage. That also includes a shutout. So, yeah, Demko had a pretty good week. And then from the New York Islanders, Noah Dobson's the third star of the week. He had 8 assists in 4 games. He was also a +7. So Dobson, really strong week for him. I did find it entertaining to keep putting Dobson as the assist on seemingly every goal the other night. He does tend to be the guy who's... And a lot of primary assists for Dobson as well. So, yeah, 8 assists in 4 games. There might be some who are kind of Not happy about a guy who didn't have a goal getting into the 3 stars of the week, but I think it's a good pick. So Marc-Andre Fleury, and Wild fans seem to be split on how they feel about this. The Penguins are the opponent for Minnesota tonight. Their next opponent after that being Boston. So the plan is that Gustafsson starts in Pittsburgh and then Fleury will start in Boston. Well, there are some who are upset because they feel like this might have been the chance for Fleury to play what could be the last game in his career in Pittsburgh. Others pointing out Fleury's said in the past he doesn't really like playing in Pittsburgh, and his numbers in Pittsburgh as opposing goalie haven't been great. But it's something that Fleury himself has said he's a little bit disappointed in, but he understands. And it's just John Hines says it's part of the coaching, part of his goaltending rotation. I do wonder when a goaltender doesn't start against his former team if there is something more to it. If it might be just maybe it's going to be viewed as a distraction. And again, maybe the goaltender doesn't play particularly well against that opponent. So we'll see how it goes. If Gustafsson has a rough game against Pittsburgh and then Fleury has the struggles against Boston, we can revisit it. But at any rate, Minnesota needs some wins. So I get it. I understand Gustafsson starting the game in Pittsburgh from that point of view. Fleury starting against Boston. And again, if it works, if they win both of those games, then you come back and you go, you know what? John Hines was really smart with that. Now, people just find something else to get upset about. Anyways, speaking of people being upset, and it's quite the segue, the Ottawa Senators, the frustrations are definitely growing, and there's a lot of finger pointing at DJ Smith, and I get it. I totally do. There's also some finger pointing about the goaltending numbers not being strong enough consistently enough. I would also point out some of their star forwards have not been producing the way that at the rate that you would want them to. And so when you have a goaltending tandem that's playing well, maybe a little bit below the average or around the average, it's going to look a lot uglier if your team isn't scoring those big goals and if you're not getting that support. So I think there's a lot of blame to go around in Ottawa right now, and I'm not sure what the fix is. It's interesting too, though, because I have seen some complaints already of, well, new ownership, same problems. And yet, for Michael Andlauer, he just took over the team not that long ago. So I don't think there's any point in saying the owner has anything to do with this. I think that he's watching this. He's already made a change at the GM position. And I don't think he's opposed to making a change at the coaching position. And I would imagine that Steve Staios will report back to him what he feels like is the best move. I do think that the Ottawa Senators are in a position where if over the next 2 weeks this season doesn't turn around, then yeah, it's probably gone. The playoff dreams can die quickly in the East. It seems more quickly in the East than in the West, whether that's real or not. Again, another point for discussion another time. But for Ottawa, they need to rack up wins, and they're just not getting them. Last night against Vegas, Vegas was just the better team. And there's been a lot of times where Ottawa's been in games recently and the team they're against just looks like the better team. And that's not great. This is why when teams talk about, just rebuild, and fans are like, just give it all away and do a complete rebuild. It's tricky because coming out of that rebuild is not as easy as, easy is the wrong term. But it feels like it's more difficult now to build up and get back above that playoff line and build a really good, strong contending team than it used to be. And then doing a full teardown. And I've said this before. I don't know if that's a recipe or a blueprint for success. Ottawa's a team that's had a hard time pulling their way back up. Arizona's one as well that it feels like have gone through rebuilding processes over and over. Buffalo, how many years has it been for them? It's been 12 since they made the playoffs. We're going on 13 because it's been since 2011. So, yeah, rebuilds are tough. And Ottawa's finding that out firsthand, that when you're expecting your team to get better and everybody gets paid and all these young stars are supposed to come into their own, that's where the rubber meets the road, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily work out. So anyways, and that might be an entertaining video to make at some point too on teams that have tried to go through rebuilds and it hasn't quite worked out. But hey, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you have not already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.